What's up, guys? Firestorm Gaming here. And my Timberwolves are just not doing so hot here. I thought they were going to come out with a bang this season, and they're already 0-2. And I was watching some of the highlight footage. It looked like they made some adjustments, so they were starting to run some more pick and rolls. They were starting to run Andrew Wiggins off of the picks a lot more. They were starting to run Zach Lavine off the picks a lot more, which is something I said. If you watch my video after their season opening loss against the Grizzlies, I said, hey, they got to run Zach Lavine off the pick and rolls. Every time they run a pick and roll, they seem to score. They need to do more of that. So they have been doing that, and they did that against the Sacramento Kings, but they also had the same problems on defense that I described in that video as well, which is that Gorgui Dieng, I still can't figure out how to say his name, Gorgui Dieng, I think is how you're supposed to pronounce it. He can't play defense. Like, they put this guy on Demarcus Cousins, and Demarcus Cousins just killed him. Now, to his credit, he did score quite a few points as well. Jang, not Deng. It's spelled Deng, but it's pronounced Jang. But Jang did put up quite a few points as well, and his plus-minus was actually positive, so he did have a streak there where he did really well in the game, but he also gave up a lot of points against Demarcus Cousins. Demarcus Cousins had, I can't remember, he had like 29 or 27 points. And Rudy Gay also torched the Timberwolves as well, which they don't really have anybody that can guard a guy like Rudy Gay. I mean, maybe Andrew Wiggins, possibly, but they don't really have like a tough, big defender, small forward type player that can guard a guy like Rudy Gay. So it was a close game. It was only a 2-point game, came down to the wire, but they should have won it. They had plenty of chances to win it. They had open shots at the end, and they just were not able to put it away. Now, it was interesting watching the footage from this game because Karl-Anthony Towns actually would have been a better option to match up with Demarcus Cousins. I don't know why they keep putting Zhang on these guys, and I think it's because they don't want Karl-Anthony Towns to get tired out and they want him to be effective on offense. But who cares? Like, if you've got some center on the other team that is torching you, like the last game it was Marc Gasol who was torching them, which Zhang was guarding him then. This time around, you got Demarcus Cousins torching them, and who knows who it's going to be next time. So they need to put Karl-Anthony Towns on these guys, and maybe he gets a little bit more tired. Maybe he doesn't go and score as many points on offense, but if you can at least shut down their key players underneath the basket, it's going to help you win games. If you can get stops, it leads to fast breaks. It leads to lots of points on the other end. So, yeah, it was just really frustrating. Kris Dunn, it looks like they gave him a few more minutes than the season opener, but he's still under 20 minutes. It doesn't look like Tyus Jones is getting any playing time, really. So, yeah, we'll see how it pans out, though. Zach Lavine is looking like an all-star, though. I mean, he's looking, I would say, dare I say Kobe-like? But I will say that he's not there yet, but he is starting to look very Kobe-like. Now, the thing that made Kobe Bryant so good is the fact that he could jump really freaking high, and because of that, you couldn't block his shot. He could pull up from three-point line, you couldn't block it. He could pull up from the mid-range shot, you couldn't block it. And when he drove to the hole, he was really good at finishing because he had so much lift on his vertical. And that's the same thing we're seeing with Zach Lavine, is he's finally learned how to leverage that vertical to hit shots in people's faces. So he has been unconscious from the three-point line. He's been hitting lots of mid-range jump shots. And the big thing is his lift. Like, people cannot block his shot right now, and he looks really, really dangerous coming off pick and rolls. So we'll see with the Timberwolves, though. I mean, at least to their credit, the games have been extremely close down to the wire. They haven't been blowouts by any means, so they haven't gotten blown out. They've been in the hunt, but we'll see how it goes. If you have a lot of close games and you end up losing all of them because you don't have clutch players, which that's been the case the last two games, like both with the Grizzlies and with the Sacramento Kings, the Timberwolves just got outclassed by more experienced players. Like in the case with the Sacramento Kings, you got guys like Demarcus Cousins, Rudy Gay. They also have Matt Barnes on that team. He was hitting a bunch of three-pointers as well. So just a lot of experienced players that are basically just more capable of handling the pressure. And so The Timberwolves down the stretch have not looked good. They haven't, they start out really strong. They play really well in the first half, but once it starts to get to that second half and it starts to really matter, they don't seem to play very well. And I think it's just a lack of experience, a lack of veteran leadership. And yeah, that's going to happen with a young team. So we'll see how they do the rest of the season. I mean, I hope they just play with feeling no pressure, because they really don't have anything to prove. But it is kind of sad seeing them already losing 2 games that, in my opinion, they should have won. Watching that Grizzlies game, they should have put that game away. Same thing with the Sacramento Kings. They definitely should have won that game. But again, it's just a few holes in the defense. I mean, also in this last game, Cole Aldrich looked terrible. Really, really bad. He looked pretty good in the game against the Grizzlies, but this game against the Sacramento Kings, he looked absolutely terrible. He was just getting burned all over the place by the post players from the Sacramento Kings. So yeah, it might end up being a long year in Minnesota. I hope they can turn things around. I'm going to watch a game. I think this next Thursday I've got tickets to go watch a game on November 3rd. Is that Thursday? Let me check my date here. I don't know. But anyways, so that's coming up. But yeah, guys, it's an interesting situation in Minnesota. So hopefully the Timberwolves will get it turned around. I hope they do. I'm a Timberwolves fan. Love to see them actually have a good season for once, but it's seriously concerning seeing the lack of defensive prowess, because you can have, as you can see with the Pelicans, for instance, they've got some of the most talented players in the NBA, but they can't play defense, and so because of that, they're not a championship contender at the moment. If they start playing defense, yeah, they could be a championship contender, but that's kind of the problem with the Timberwolves right now, is you've got some pretty good offensive players, you've got some talent, but they need to pick it up on defense. They were last in the league in defense. Maybe they weren't, or they were second to last. I think they were actually last, though. They were like 30th in defense, and that's why they brought Tom Thibodeau in, is to clean up things on the defensive side. And yeah, I mean, it was kind of funny watching the season opener against the Grizzlies, because Tom Thibodeau was just shaking his head. He looked frustrated, he looked pissed off, he looked annoyed. And I can't blame the guy, because their defense looked pathetic. Their offensive execution at points just looked absolutely pathetic. So anyways, I hope that the Timberwolves can turn it around, at least for my sake as a Minnesota Timberwolves fan. I think everybody out there wants to see the Timberwolves do well. It's been a while since they've had a good team, ever since Kevin Garnett got traded, which that was the dumbest thing ever. So Kevin McHale was the general manager at that point. For those of you that don't know, Kevin McHale was part of the legendary Boston Celtics team back with Larry Bird and Robert Parrish and Dennis Johnson and all those guys. Kevin McHale was a all-star Hall of Famer. Well, he is an all-star Hall of Fame player, and then he got involved in coaching and management, and at that point he was the general manager. So he was actually he was actually there when they drafted Garnett, all that. But then he was also the one that traded Kevin Garnett they traded him for 7 different players to the Boston Celtics. So they got 7 different players and a bunch of draft picks, and all of those players turned out to be complete garbage. The best of them was Al Jefferson, who ended up being a good player, but he wasn't Kevin Garnett. And it was just sad and pathetic, because they were a playoff team all the way up until they traded Kevin Garnett. They could have continued to put some assets around him, so it was really a bizarre situation with the Timberwolves. It always has been. And then when they were trying to rebuild, they just kept sabotaging themselves. Kevin McHale got fired at some point, and then they did bring in another GM, but then he didn't do much better. And so it's kind of been this constant sabotage with the Timberwolves roster, just making a lot of stupid trades, a lot of stupid decisions. And then they finally got in a position now where we're like, hey, the Timberwolves are actually looking competitive here. They can actually do well. But now they're already 0-2 against 2 teams that really aren't that great. So I don't know. We'll have to see how the Timberwolves do. They might end up tanking again. They might end up getting another high draft pick, which I don't think is going to hurt them. But yeah, we'll just have to see how the season progresses. Most teams don't usually turn it on until the second half of the season. So we'll see how the first 10-20 games go, and then we'll see how things go the second half of the season once they kind of get the experience under their belt and whatnot. But Anyways, I digress. Thanks for watching, guys. Feel free to subscribe to my channel. I've got a lot more content coming your way, especially NBA 2K17. If you've been following my channel, I did get a high-powered gaming computer with an NVIDIA GTX 1070 graphics card in it, and so I can run NBA 2K17 at 60 frames per second. It looks phenomenal, and that's at max settings. So I have a lot of great video coming out with that. I'm just getting my video recording software figured out and getting internet hooked up to it as well, because I've got this desktop that is not close to my Wi-Fi router, and so I have to order a Wi-Fi adapter. So it should be here today, actually. I just ordered it on Amazon. So once we get all that crap figured out, you'll be getting NBA 2K17 content coming your way like mad crazy. But until then, feel free to subscribe, pay attention to my channel. Should have NBA 2K17 content up within the next 24 to 48 hours. So, but yeah, guys, anyways, thanks for watching. Feel free to subscribe, and we'll see you later.